Welcome to another episode of the Executive Lounge podcast. Today, my very, very good friend. I know him so well because he's so close to me every day. I can't get rid of him, I don't know why. Maybe because he's my neighbor, actually. And I'm really honored. And I didn't even know that Joe, because that's his name, Joe Potenza, right?
Yep.
So we were working out in the gym. And I didn't even know that Joe is so successful. He runs businesses, and that's why it's so important to talk to people. And this podcast is all about generating leads. And I didn't even know that Joe is a master at generating leads. So after some time, after a few months, finally through some other, neighbors, we managed to get connected, and I got him on the podcast here. And Joe, you're a real estate wholesaler and investor.
Yep.
And now you run SM3 Marketing.
Correct.
And I know you don't look, but you look very mature, but you don't look like can we reveal your age?
Yeah, I'm 28.
It's crazy.
So
congrats, by the way.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the pod. I'm excited to be here. That is one of the beautiful things about living in a building like this is you meet so many successful people who are, doing their own things and movers and shakers, which is great. I've met a couple other people who are just awesome guys in the building. Quick background on myself. So about 5-6 years ago, got into something called real estate wholesaling, which is essentially the process of finding off-market deals, contracting that deal, and selling your equitable interest to another investor. Think flipping properties without doing any of the work, right? And so you're basically connecting wealthy investors in different submarkets to distressed properties. Built that up over the years, bought a good deal of real estate, built that up. We have about 25 to 30 team members in that business. Scaled myself out of the operations of that so I could build my next company, which is SM3 Marketing. SM3 Marketing was born a little bit on accident. What happened was I got really good at running Google ads to find these distressed properties for myself. Spent literally, not figuratively, millions of dollars of my own money to generate leads for my own company that other investors in the space were like, hey man, can you run ads for us? And that's how SM3 was born. That's kind of my, I'm in real estate, but really my superpower within the business is marketing, lead gen, and how to build sales teams to support inbound marketing.
It's interesting what you said on accident because it worked for you. And then it's so easy. You don't need to go and sell it because you have all those other marketing gurus and they sell you on it's so broad. I've noticed that it's so broad. They sell you that they will do your marketing and all of that. Yet I look at their profiles and they have no clue about AEO, answer engine optimization will be discussed. They their social media, for example, which is all optimized for AI search. And where we're having results. So I know that when I have a result like that, or you have a result like that, that you go to a client, you're so confident, you have a result, you can sell it. You're a ripped guy.
Thank you.
I had another guest here. So he tells me literally, Marcin, all my life, going to conferences, hustling, working. He gets to his 60s and now he wakes up and he wants to go and start working out. So I think also being in shape,
totally.
That commands okay, the guy's disciplined, he shows up, and then and I think subconsciously that does generate some interest and leads as well, because it's all about generating leads here.
I think you're hitting on a few things here. One, would you trust a pilot to fly a plane who's never flown a plane before?
Never.
You trust a surgeon who's never held a scalpel? That's what everyone does with these marketing agencies. They will have people run ads for them who've never actually ran ads to provide for themselves. The reason SM3 has accelerated and grown so quickly, because we've only launched it about 6-7 months ago. We're probably one of the biggest in the space now managing. We have kind of a niche focus on bigger operators. There's a lot of ad agencies who take on wholesalers and investors who are smaller. We really focus on the big players. And so of the biggest players in the industry, we probably run maybe half of their ads already in 6 months. But again, it's because I can sit there and be like, hey guys, I am not a traditional marketing agency. I have done this myself. Here are my exact results. This isn't some other customer's testimonial. Here's my company's results. And so this all ties into what you're talking about with branding and image. And I'm newly on social media, but we've grown decently quickly. And the reason I wanted to do that was, how can I present myself as a marketing company if I then can't grow my Instagram?
Correct.
Right? Not that we're offering that as a service to anyone, but that's marketing, right? And so I just apply the same principles that I did with Google Ads and how to split test and how to test different ad copy and apply that to Instagram. And that's why we've grown decently quickly over the last 6-7 months on Instagram, because I only started posting on Instagram, I think it was 8 or 9 months ago. I had 900 followers. Now we have 60,000 followers, all organic.
Believe it or not, my business partner, he goes on your profile and he says some guy from Poland who's he's in the marketing space as well. He says, oh, he follows Joe.
It's awesome.
I'm like, some guy, it's such a small world.
My content
crazy.
girl sitting right here at this weekend, she told me the story. She just started working with us probably like 2-3 weeks ago. And she was sitting there with some of her buddies like at a bar, and she heard my voice, and one of her guy friends was watching one of my videos. She's like, oh, I work for that guy, which is funny. But yeah, that's the power of social media. But again, marketing is all about volume and iteration. Like, I think where people go wrong here is they want to, and again, I know we're gonna jump right into this, but like just trying to provide any value to anyone who listens to this. If you want to be good at marketing, you have to understand you need to test incessantly, and you need to put out so much more volume than you think you would need to, right? Like, Instagram is a perfect example of this. People think they're going to post their first 10 reels and one of them is going to get 1 million views. It's probably more like you're not going to get 1 million views on a reel for your first 100. And the reason you're not going to get it is because you suck in the beginning. You suck at everything at the start. And so the only way to get better is to learn, iterate, and fail. And marketing is no different. The hard part about paid marketing, and I think why so many people struggle to master it, is it's super expensive to learn and iterate. So you have to have a business that's generating enough EBITDA and margin to be able to spend $7,000 to $10,000 a month on the small end just to test.
Explain EBITDA, because we like on this podcast, we want to uncover all the earnings before interest. Like in simple terms.
In simple terms, it's profit. Before any ownership split, before you pay any debt, before you pay, what does the business earn if there's no debt on the business and no expense is the wrong word? What does the business earn in profit? Is essentially
free cash flow.
Free cash flow.
Like how much money you actually get to keep and then reuse that money, right?
Exactly.
So we want to unpack, because I know you're all in this. Sometimes we get so into like professional terms that we forget that some people, like on my team, people say SMB or GM. I'm like, guys, don't use that word. Like just say GM, go to market, or just say, go and sell something, man. Okay, they use all those words sometimes.
EBITDA is just profit.
Right.
What does the business make after it pays all expenses for the business?
And it's for paid marketing, you have to have some money to experiment.
Yeah, like paid marketing is very expensive, right? And so there's different kinds of marketing in this world. The two biggest that people know about, there's something called interruption-based marketing.
What is that?
When you're scrolling on Facebook and you see an ad, that interrupted your thought pattern, right? When you see an ad on YouTube, it interrupted you. That is a lower intent-based than something called intent-based marketing. When you search something on Google, Google is trying to place an ad based on your intent. And so when someone, again, when you hear these terms thrown on PPC, right? That's like industry slang. That just stands for pay-per-click. That's talking about Google Ads. You pay for someone to click on your site. Within that niche, there is search advertising, which is telling Google, I want to be shown on these keywords. For example, my industry, sell my house fast, right? If a homeowner is trying to sell their house fast, they're going to search, how do I sell my house fast? I will bid on those keywords to have my ad show up. So connecting this back, that is called intent-based, which is always more expensive because it's higher value, right? Like if you could pick between the two, if they cost the same, you'd obviously prefer someone who intended to find your ad than you disrupted them.
Correct.
So of all of the advertising channels.
Because they're motivated. It's a motivated seller.
Exactly. And so Google Ads specifically, search Google Ads, the most expensive kind of marketing you can do. With that, it's why I think a lot of people struggle to master it, because it takes so much money to learn, test, and iterate. Like, people always ask, how did I get good at Google Ads? There's kind of two buckets. One, I took probably 8 to 10 different courses, right? People think they take one course and it's going to make them a master at ads. You might learn stuff from a single course, don't get me wrong. But if you want to master it, the system changes so fast that you need to be constantly learning. The second bucket is I had a business that was already generating profit. Now, it wasn't huge profit, but I had $20,000, $30,000 a month to then go and test all of these different strategies. The final step of that puzzle is you then spend your money and you run split tests on everything you do. Hey, this headline, everything you're doing, you need 2 ads of everything. Hey, which headline is working better? Which description's working better? Which campaign structure setting within Google works better?
So volume and iterating. Just 2
yeah,
ingredients.
That's it. And,
wow.
and if you have enough capital to iterate and learn within Google Ads, as soon as you start figuring it out, as soon as you find a winner, you're talking about a system where, again, in real estate, the return on marketing is not as high as some other industries, right? Because it's tangible. There's high transaction costs, right? We're dealing with properties 200, 300, 500 grand at a time. But so when you figure it out, you can build a system where you put $1 in and get 5 back every day, right? And so you see how that then becomes very scalable. And so that's kind of what I got good at, is I was putting 100 grand into my marketing machine and I was getting 500 grand back.
Wow.
And so what happens then in your business as we're digging into this, and tell me if you want me to stop if I'm going too in the weeds with all this. What then happens, and you obviously know this well, is within a business, there can only be one constraint at a time that trumps everything else. Meaning there's one problem in your business that is the most important to solve, and it really makes sense to work on nothing else other than that problem. Most small businesses, first constraint is marketing. They don't have a predictable system to generate leads and a predictable system to close leads. What we solve at SM3 is exactly that. We say, hey, we will solve this first constraint from you. Your next constraint is going to be building a team and a business to support.
And they usually start with the team and with everything else, the features.
Exactly.
Not marketing.
I mean, especially from your world, because again, I come from more of less of we're not building products in the sense that you're building products. But I'm sure in your world, you see people focus so much on these features and all this kind of stuff, when it's really, if I was in your world, I would run paid ads, see what people want, then build off what they ask for.
So you go off intent, motivation, where they're looking for. Let's go back to iteration and giving up. I assume that when you go to the gym, obviously, you have moments where you're you didn't become just this ripped.
I was born this way.
Yeah,
just kidding.
In a few days.
Yeah.
Or if someone is fat and overweight, however politically correct you want to be, and they want to.
Don't worry, I'm not politically correct.
They want transformation, or they're broke and they want to go to millions like you. It's the same kind of thing. And then one thing that I see you're big on is mindset.
Yeah.
It's. How did you manage to go through this? Okay, you iterate, but you're man, I'm giving up.
I think what you're hitting on, let me say it this way. To make millions of dollars from nothing, you have to have a few things that create someone who can quickly make millions of dollars, right? If you want to get wealthy in your 20s or 30s, one, you have to have a degree of almost irrational optimism, right? To think, hey, I'm 23, if my story, I'm 23, I'm $60,000 in debt, and my goal was to be a millionaire by 30. I did it by 25, right? This isn't to boast, but you have to be almost irrationally optimistic to think that's possible. The second thing is mindset. Before you go and acquire any skills, you have to fix your mindset, and the simple mindset shift is discipline. You should never use the word motivation in your life. I actually hate the word
Explain that.
People are I'm motivated. I'm that's such a weak thing to say. I don't care about motivation. Discipline is deciding on a game plan and strategy and executing regardless of how you feel. And so I think the people who accelerate in life, in their earnings financially. And a lot of times you see the guys who are doing well financially that are also in good shape, because what you're hitting on is the mindset to do these things are all the same.
They have a thesis and they stick with that.
Without a doubt. And the key there is understanding inputs are the only thing that matter. Everyone's focused on the output, how I feel. I'm gonna go to the gym when I feel good. I'm gonna make these cold calls when I feel good.
That's good.
Someone who is disciplined says, I don't care if I have the flu. I don't care if I just got broken up with. I don't care if I'm sick. I'm just gonna do these same actions every single day. And that is the single trait: irrational optimism, discipline, and then you need to understand all you need to do is acquire skills. You are directly paid in this marketplace of the world for how much you're worth. And I think people get so offended by saying something like this. Like, if you make minimum wage, it's because you're worth minimum wage. And that's not to then slander or talk down to anyone like that, but it should be empowering to understand, okay, all I need to do is acquire more skills so I can then earn more. And so in the beginning, the first couple skills you need to acquire is just selling. If you can just learn how to sell, you can instantly go from making $40K a year to $150, $200K a year, right? Then if you can learn how to sell and manage a sales team, you can either work in a company and make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, or you can go start your own. But yeah, so that's how I kind of connect that back with the gym. The final thing, and I know I'm ranting here, but I find it important, is like, especially as an entrepreneur, if you're not taking care of your body, it's just another thing when you walk into a room and you show someone that you take care of your body, they're more likely to trust you as a client.
Completely.
They're more likely to trust you as a customer. They're more likely to trust you if you're raising money, whatever you may be doing. If you're heavily out of shape, like if you take me and my direct competitor who has the identical skills as me, let's say even has the same hair as me, like we're talking about Joe parallel universe, but he's 100 pounds overweight, who is gonna consistently bet on him over me? Just from physical appearance. And it's a hard truth of life, but it's nothing to do with how you actually look. It has to do with the discipline it takes to look like that, right?
Completely, yeah. Wow, it's a lot to process.
Dropping bombs.
Love that. You know, we had a meeting and a coffee chat on AI and search and on the intent part of the deal.
Yep.
When people search for something, there's high intent because they're already looking, as opposed to you throw an ad, as you said.
Correct.
Like they're scrolling, and you
disrupt them.
You disrupt them.
Yeah.
It's a different approach, different intent. And if someone is searching, where we've had the most results so far, we're getting at least one lead a day for now from organic. So they're looking on Google or
because
AI.
that's intent-based.
Intent-based.
Your AEO, what you told me about, because I didn't even know about that.
Answer engine optimization, marketing to AI. Just so people know, we had breakfast, we talked about it. So what's your take on it after our conversation?
Well, I followed exactly what you said. I got my Trustpilot set up.
I looked at SM3 Marketing, you know, the fourth result on Google already.
Really?
It's sick. Check this out. I actually looked before we jump on the podcast.
Yeah,
so look,
great.
simple change, and it's already, I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And you see execution. Like one of the things, like I sit down with you and I'm like, I mean, this guy is just, when he hears something, not only you can process very quickly, but then like go and execute.
Oh yeah, you told me about that. We're doing it on the walk home back to our building.
Crazy.
There is a direct correlation between someone who is a high earner and how quickly they take action on an idea. It's just that simple. Like the people who talk about stuff never make any money. The people who just hear something and they're like, I'm gonna do this immediately. Like this, the second you told me that, on our walk home, we're setting up my Trustpilot account. There's others who would then look into it, and then it takes all this time, and then they forget about it. Action is the most important thing. Now, one caveat here, and we're staying on mindset with this, is like that trait that makes you an entrepreneur, which is like almost like ADD of making money, right? Like ADHD, you're like, oh, well, I can make money over here. That trait also is the same trait that can take you down as an entrepreneur.
Totally.
Because then you could have lack of focus. And so I think the key with that is channeling that energy into your vertical of what you're working on and solving a lot of problems within the same mission, not solving a lot of different problems on different missions.
Yeah.
Right? You got to stay on the same path, the same road, even like for a long time, I had wanted to start another business that wasn't real estate wholesaling. And I delayed and I delayed. One, because I wanted to make sure my wholesaling business ran without me, made good profit every single year with a leadership team in place. And when I went to build my second company, instead of saying, and I looked at a bunch of different industries, I looked at insurance, I looked at like a bunch of different industries, and I said, okay, what would be this most simplistic for me to start that already uses all of the same skills? And so I said, okay, what within my business am I doing that I can sell? Oh, sweet, well, I'm pretty good at marketing, so let me just go sell that. To me, it didn't feel like starting a new business because it was so easy because I already had all the skills, everything packaged. I knew exactly how to do it all. If I went and started a book software company about how to integrate bookstores like you guys do, I'd be years until I got to where you're at because I don't know anything about that. And so I think it's important to understand what you're good at and build around that.
And leverage, I call it like a spine, and then from your spine, what's the easiest to kind of tag onto that spine. And also one thing that I can share with you, my mentor, Gary Cardone, he's all about focus. Like once he focuses on something, he's like, I'm focused on that deal.
It's great.
But he said, my biggest mistake in life, when I was so focused on payments, and he did extremely well in payments, in fintech. He said, my biggest mistake was when someone told me about Bitcoin back in 2017. And I was so focused on that deal that I missed the boat. And he said, I could have invested way more than, whatever 100 G's that he put in, whatever. And he said, so be focused. The way he explained that was like, magic to me. He said, be focused, but just slightly open. Just slightly.
Yeah.
And he said, take on those ideas and exit. You don't need to like lose the focus here. Just slightly open up and see that, like when someone tells you go, and because it's not gonna take a lot of energy from him.
Sure.
But he was like, kind of like obsessed focus. So it's like be focused, but open up.
Totally.
That's what when he showed me that, like, when he explained it this way, like graphically, I'm like, okay. Yeah. When I hear something, like, just like you, just open up slightly.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I had a mentor of mine, a little bit different situation, say something very similar to me. For a while, I had known, I decided I was going to start this marketing company. And I waited probably another like 6 to 8 months to actually do it because I had trained myself so well to say, I'm just a wholesaler. I don't want to do anything else because in the beginning, I knew myself very well. Prior to having some success in business, I started, an Airbnb business. I had, a car detailing. I had built an app in college. Like I was all over the place.
So you have to try also different things.
You have to try
different
things.
You're young.
As soon as you find something that works, you have to forget about all the different things, especially for your first business.
Totally.
Because you have no skills when you start. Building your second business, right? Like my marketing company will grow so much faster than any company I've ever built, revenue and profit-wise, because it's the second business. And I can take all of the skills, everything I've learned, and apply those. You don't start from zero again. But when you do start, you suck at everything. And so if you're putting, like when I was first trying to wholesale, I had an Airbnb arbitrage business. I was wholesaling, and I was trying to buy rental properties. Even though those were all still within real estate, even that was way too much distraction.
You were like throwing spaghetti on the wall in a way.
And trying to see what sticks. See what sticks. Nothing's gonna stick if you don't throw the stupid spaghetti hard enough.
Correct.
But if you try to throw 3 instead of throwing 1, you put way more energy towards that single thing, and that's where you make outsized returns. And so the mentor of mine said to me, Joe, you are not the same entrepreneur you once were 4 years ago. When you trained yourself, it was the right decision to stay focused. He's like, you need to lift your head up and see you have so much value you can provide to the marketplace through this new company while still having your current company grow because you've figured out how to develop leadership teams.
Yeah, totally. So last point on leadership, and you have like 25 people on the team?
Yep.
Like that's not easy because managing people, from my experience, is the hardest part of the whole deal.
Without a doubt.
Like you take responsibility for them, although everybody is responsible for themselves. But you do take. I think hiring people, it's harder than actually getting a job.
Hiring and managing people is the hardest thing in business. And I think if me or you were even better at it, we'd be 10 times, like there is no bigger unlock in entrepreneurship than being really good at building and developing leadership.
Why?
When I look at a skill stack of what builds a business, right? Like I preach that I'm an expert marketer. That's one of the lowest level skills in a business, in my opinion. And what I mean, when I say low level is like, it's the first thing everyone has to solve. When you start in business, no one needs to get good at managing a C-suite. No one needs to figure out how to lead a CEO, right? Like like people think being the CEO is hard. It's even harder to try and figure out how to then have someone be a CEO for your business. Succession. But so it's one of the last things any entrepreneur works on, because just chronologically, as you're building the business, it's the last piece of the puzzle. And so as we move back to constraints within a business, as I figured out how to be really good at marketing and then build sales teams, that then solves like that base level. The next constraint is, how do I then manage sales teams, right? That's like your first understanding of leadership. Then it becomes, how do I manage the sales team leadership who's managing the sales team, right? Which is actually way harder than even managing the sales team directly, right? Because now you're 2 degrees removed from anyone even communicating with the customer. Then the next level is, how do I manage the management team, the C-suite, that is managing all of the managers who manage the salespeople? And you think it gets easier as you go up. It becomes infinitely harder, because the complexity, how you have to lead, how you have to motivate, the non-intrinsic traits you have to teach management and leadership, and how you have to learn to lead with discretion, and how you can't, like, when you're managing a sales team, it's, hey, here are your numbers. How do I motivate you to hit these numbers, right? Exactly. It's very clear. Sales team leadership, okay, your team needs to hit these numbers, right? But still a little bit more complicated, because now there's 5 people who he needs to figure out how to hit his numbers for. And then you take it to the C-suite and you're like, hey, I need you to figure out how to grow this business without me. It's amorphous. Like, it's so much harder even for me to conceptualize of, hey, what am I supposed to tell this guy to do? Yeah. And so my big growth, and what I've been working on the last year the most, of why we've intentionally not grown our wholesale business, but we're gonna make a big push at the end of the year to grow. My wholesale business, knock on wood, should double in size in the next 18 months without my involvement. Only because we took the last year to pour into our leadership team, and I spent so much energy saying, hey, we're not even gonna go higher. How do I keep developing this team so they're incentivized and motivated and in a position to grow the business without me? I forgot who said that if you wanna cut down the tree, like instead of starting with cutting the tree, spend like the first sharpen the axe. Yeah. In business, and I think this is from Hormozy. I don't know. Hormozy's obviously the GOAT, so I listen to him all day. I can't remember where I found this, if it was Hormozy or someone else. Is the hair as well modeled after? I've had long hair for a long time, well before I do Hormozy. Well, maybe he modeled you. Maybe he went after Potenza. So Alex Hormozy, if you're listening to this, Joe was first. Yeah. I don't know about that, but in any case, I think he talks about, in business, you can only do 2 things. You can do more, or you can do better. More is getting bigger, hiring people, spending more on marketing. Better is saying, we're not gonna turn up any budget. We're not gonna hire any more people. We're not gonna get any bigger. How do we make our current size better, right? And so my last year in the wholesale business has been solely on getting better, fixing systems, fixing processes, dialing in so we can make the next growth push, because where I kept hitting my head against the wall, each level I struggled with growing my wholesale business was because I was trying to get big too quickly instead of getting better and then getting bigger. Wow, that's interesting. Because we all, like, whenever you hit the wall, you're like, what am I doing? Am I in the wrong business? And that's going back to like giving up. Any process, so that's the iteration part of the deal. And I've noticed you're pretty good at that. So I'm kind of like hitting the wall, and I'm just punching the wall. Sometimes the wall is so hard, and I'm like, man. A frame I always use, and I've talked a lot about it in my content, is there's a book called The Dip. It's probably like 70 pages. If you haven't read it, I would read it. It's like this tiny little book. It's like, meant for like a 5th grader. The general concept is that whatever you're doing in life, anything worth doing experiences this continuous parabolic like S curve. And on each dip of the S, it's called the dip. 90% of everyone you're competing with at every level will quit during that period. And so when you're banging your head against the wall, I always use the frame of, oh, my other competitor, my Emersoft competitor, right? If I'm you, is having the same problem right now. And this is probably the thing that's either going to keep them plateaued or they're going to fail because of it. And so that always gives me energy when it's like, oh, this is good because if I can solve this constraint, if I can solve this problem, the next revenue and profit unlock happens there.
It's like a game. You said.
Oh, I love thinking of things as a game.
Yeah.
Well, it's just a big game.
So explain that, because I see that on your Instagram. You're like, what did you say? Life's a game, or?
I mean, literally yesterday I was posting that life's a video game.
Life's a video game.
I think in life, and I'm going to get a little philosophical here, I think people place too much importance on things that don't matter and not enough importance on the things that really affect life. At the end of the day, life is really not that hard. The simple way, whatever you want to solve, like if you want to have more money, cool, become more valuable, right? Like at a high level, it's actually very simple, right? Like Gary Cardone, the reason he makes so much money is he's incredibly valuable to whatever marketplace he's solving a problem in, right? The reason Emersoft has any value is because you guys create value for others. If you want to go to the gym, cool, get stronger by lifting heavier things up every time. Right? Like these principles are very simple in practice, but people overcomplicate them. And so I always think of things like a game because games are fun and games are meant to be played in one. And if you take things less seriously, when I say take things less seriously, like people get so offended by everything. Well, how can you say that I'm worth less if I only make this amount of money? I'm not saying your worth as a human is less. I'm saying your worth to the marketplace that's paying you money is less.
Yeah.
When you start shifting your brain that way, it becomes more fun just to solve problems. It becomes more fun to go to the gym because you think of it like, hey, I'm just trying to level up. Like when you play Grand Theft Auto when you're 15, you go buy all the 6 supercars and you want you know when you make a player in Madden, you make him jacked and fast, right? Like
that's how you're structuring your.
That's how you structure your brain. And so you could do that in real life too if you stop overcomplicating all this stuff. Now here's the key with this. And again, I know I'm being philosophical and we come back to marketing here in a second. The thing you have to, well, I just explained it and made it sound so simple to like win in life. The things you have to give up are pleasure in most instances. And so what you do in this video game of life is you simply trade things that aren't fun now. You trade things that are fun now for things that cause you pain but make you a better person, make you a cooler, better, bigger, better, more important person. Connecting back to the gym. Instead of eating a donut or going and getting pizza, you have to put yourself through pain in the gym.
Yeah.
But in turn, then you get stronger and you look better and then people tell you you're jacked, right? Money is no different.
What if they say, oh, but what if I die tomorrow? Like I just want to enjoy my pizza today. Because tomorrow I might be dead.
I get that. To me, my brain doesn't think about life in terms, like to me, the most enjoyment you get out of life is just the hard work, right? Like getting better is the most enjoyable thing I've ever experienced. It can be the gym, financially, with my relationships. Like it's not just about making a lot of money.
You're obsessed.
I'm obsessed with just I'm obsessed with just winning at everything. Like who doesn't want to win?
Who doesn't want to win?
Everything they do.
Everybody.
And anyone who tells you they don't,
they're lying.
They're lying to themselves and they're using it as a crutch of why they don't have to solve whatever problem they know they need to solve the most. Every single person who's going to watch this, if I say this statement, you know exactly what you need to work on. You'll get a pit in your stomach, you'll think of it, and then you'll make an excuse. That's the way your brain works.
Totally.
I have all the things I need to work on, right? But it's all about trading pleasure for things that hurt today to make more money. Making money is the perfect example of this. Hey, if someone works 40 hours a week, right? Just work 80 and see how much more money you make. Someone's like, well, I'm on a salary, I can't. If you work at a company and you make 40 hours a week on a salary,
absolutely,
work 60 for just 1 month and then go to your boss. Hey, I've been crushing it here. I want to know what extra projects I can take on.
Totally.
Any good entrepreneur, any good boss is going to give you raises, going to give you projects to go work on because that's the people us entrepreneurs gravitate towards because we need killers and people like that within the organization. But again, you're trading Netflix, hanging out with friends, partying for making more money.
Yesterday, I was talking to a young sales guy and he's pretty talented. and around 20, early 20s. And I'm like, I'm sending you the deal. Let's get started tomorrow. Oh, tomorrow I'm going on a trip with boys.
See, he didn't make the trade.
Next week, I can start next week. I'm like, if I was 22, I was 20, whatever, I would be jumping on the deal right now.
Yeah, like what you just described is him making a subconscious decision that his pleasure is more important than his future gain from whatever perceived value you were going to give him, right? The difference between someone who accelerates quickly, and let me come back here with this, because like I think this would be an interesting concept to talk about. I'm not saying everyone should go get super rich. If someone looked at my years in my 20s, I have not had nearly as much fun as many of my close friends from high school or college. I have significantly less life experiences in terms of partying, traveling, all of that. Now that I've done very well, I've unlocked a different tier of what I can go and do, right? Now I can travel wherever I want, stay anywhere I want. But so to me, I saw this graph and it was so accurate. It was like, do you want 5 years of pain and 50 years of freedom? Or do you want 5 years of pleasure and 50 years, constrained or whatever? I forget what the word they used was.
Delayed gratification.
5 years, 50 years of pain. And so it's all about just deciding what trade you want to make. And I've talked about this in my content. It's not just about making money. It's you have to figure out what you want in life. If you want to live a super socially fulfilled life and travel and backpack and have tons of friends and eat out and party, do that. But then don't put the expectation that you need a Lamborghini and millions of dollars.
Or don't say that inflation is so high. That
don't complain.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, I'm thinking of someone in my life, amazing guy, who has basically gone this route, and he's brilliant because he doesn't then put pressure on himself, and he's so happy. He lives super socially fulfilled. He does everything he wants to do. He makes, 50 grand a year, which there's nothing wrong with that. And the reason I respect him over other people is he then doesn't complain. Where I have an issue is where you make decisions about your life and then you complain that you don't have what someone else has.
Totally.
Or they complain about the world or the macro environment or the society's out to get me. Shut up. The society is not out
Everyone's
to get you.
Everyone's after them.
Like, I have no place in my brain for people like that. Like victims, me and victims don't get along.
Yeah.
Because I think Ramon said it. No matter how bad your situation is, there is someone who has it worse than you who does it better. And that's not to make you feel little. It's to say, look, there's nothing holding you back. Sure. Do people get dealt different starting hands? Without a doubt. So what are we supposed to do about it? But there's people, you can 88% of all millionaires, I think from Dave Ramsey, are all self-made in the US. So if 9 out of 10 millionaires are making it themselves, anyone can do it.
Awesome. So Joe, we were throwing a webinar after our breakfast. We were throwing a webinar on AEO, how to essentially market to AI. Because from my perspective, the way I see that, and I kind of troll and laugh and kind of banner with the SEO guys, and some of them they're in my network. So I'm like, guys, SEO is dead.
Yeah.
It's not dead. I'm like, it's a Trump exaggeration, so to speak. But I've noticed that right now you can really exploit that AEO game. And especially when Bitcoin came out, or when now AI came out, and you basically see that the pattern is clear, you can impact the algorithm.
Sure.
By just doing a few simple things that people don't do.
Yeah.
Like I asked you, for example, do you have Trustpilot? Like, not yet, right?
Yeah, I learned so much.
You would have thought it's so simple, right? I would have thought it's so simple, but it's not. Like knowing those little pieces, that's 99%.
Yeah, I learned so much from you on that coffee chat. So the reason I connected so well with it is what's just happening is instead of people searching on Google, they're using ChatGPT or Claude or whatever to search Googleable things. They're just using AI for now to search. And so you're just doing SEO on ChatGPT, right? And so, it's brilliant because not many people are doing that. And you're also just smart guy who's figured out the right way to have the most impact quickly, right? Where you gave me those tips, I went and implemented it, and sure enough, I'm looking on ChatGPT and figuring that all out. My one fear with it is just like SEO, it'll become saturated, but that doesn't mean you don't capitalize on it now. Right?
Like all the influencers initially, right, with social media. Now it's more mature. People are more aware. They're more educated. They know that, if you're showing Lambos and all that stuff, it's not always, that
most times it's not.
Right, most time it's not.
Yeah.
And they're looking for gems. And now I think it's more matured, and people are genuinely looking for awesome people to connect and learn.
I agree with that on the content front.
But initially, like if you go back, there weren't many people doing it. So you had guys like trying it out with volume
Lopez in his garage,
for example, volume and iteration. And now you remember the guy. If he managed to go on this trajectory and build, I don't know him, but he has a brand. We're talking about, you just mentioned his name. So just because of that, if he came with a deal, you'd be more open to listen to that deal than some other Marcin Ruman with Emersoft.
I agree. Like, I think the way you see, especially with social media, and again, I'm brand new to this world. I'm not trying to pretend like I'm an expert.
You can be first or you can be different. That's where I'm going, kind of.
Totally. And I think with AEO right now, where you're a first mover, even I'm sure a lot of people are talking about it, but not many people are doing it. And so there's a huge unlock there. I also think there's something to say, and I brought up Tai Lopez because my brain thought of, I'm sure you remember back in the day, his ads of this is my Lamborghini with my books in the garage. Yeah. Like, it was so polarizing because that's what social media was. Yeah. And I know some people hate on him, and I'm not endorsing one way or the other, but he's a brilliant marketer. Oh, right? Like, there's 100%. No way to say that. 100%. But as the landscape of that world changes, you have to change the marketing as well. And that's what you're doing with AEO, is saying, hey, there's this new blue ocean over here. Right. That you can get outsized returns based on the level of input you have to put in to get your AEO done. Yes. Right? Like, the level you have to do SEO now is so massive that it almost becomes not worth it because it's so saturated. And so what you're doing is you're exploiting a gap in the marketplace of where you can get a ton of perceived value. And so that's why the second I heard you saying that, I was like, dude, how much do I have to pay you right now to help me with this? Because the second you said, I was like, oh, done. Let's do this immediately. Like, let's go home and do this right now. I like that you used blue ocean strategy, because that's another advisor mentioned that, and I didn't know how to frame that, but then I'm like, oh, that makes sense. That's what we're doing in the book industry right now. It's a small market, dirty, underserved, under-innovated, forgotten. People think, who's reading books? Like, who's even touching this stuff? Like, everybody is using, like the tablets right now. So nobody wants to go there. Nobody wants to invest. That's the perfect opportunity. I'm like, ooh. I was on the call with Shopify, and they're like, you guys are a honeypot for us. Really? Because we have all the relationships, all the systems. And if you put the biggest names with Shopify, we are the result. I showed you, So amazing. So you already use AEO for your brand. Are you going to use that for your clients as well? You're planning on that? Or because I saw a quote where you were like, hey, don't be distracted with other channels, something like that. Yeah, so I think specifically for the clients I serve, which are real estate wholesalers and investors, branding actually matters far less, for the reason that there's nothing recurring. Someone who sells a distressed house is the least recurring customer you can ever essentially find. It's just a deal, one-off deal. One-off deal. That person's never going to sell another house. And so that's why paid traffic, to me, will forever dominate that industry. And that's what SM3 Marketing is. Google Ads, paid traffic. How do we show up first on Google? Now, I totally see a world, and maybe this will be my timestamp. Years from now, you're going to have paid traffic on ChatGPT. Oh yeah. And so there'll be sponsored responses, right? What is the best marketing? Did you see the integration OpenAI with Shopify? No. Are they already doing that? Etsy already. Okay. Merchant. So if you want to go OpenAI, which essentially is the company behind ChatGPT,
it's already, I'll send you a link after
send me
that.
a link.
It's the news came out like 5 days ago.
Interesting.
They're already integrating. So you'll be able to buy, they call it like a express checkout or something like that, where you'll be able to, with the one click, just, they partnered with PayPal, with Shopify and Etsy for now, big companies, for this agentic checkout, essentially.
Very cool.
So they'll, you with intent, you search, and then a product you purchase from ChatGPT.
Bluetooth speaker, and then it'll be linked. That's super cool. Yeah, but in any case, I think just with my specific industry, I think AEO is a little bit harder. It's important for people to find my marketing company. I think it's less important for my clients to use at the current stage. One, also our average home sellers, I think 48, 47, right? And so like they're, of all of the cohort of people in the US using ChatGPT, are on the lower end.
Okay, fair enough. So knowing your market as well and how that's part of the strategy.
Like I think the answer to what you just said, as I just gave what my opinion is, I want to be clear. I will 100% test it.
And that goes back to volume iteration.
Volume and iteration. Like while I don't believe it would be beneficial to my specific clients, you bet your ass I'm going to test it. The same way I test YouTube, the same way I test Facebook, the same way I'm running within my marketing sphere of like my own wholesale company. And this is a nugget for any wholesaler investors watching this. I don't just run what works best. I allocate 10 to 15 to 20% of my total budget every month to test different things. And people would say, well, doesn't that give you a worse return? Yes, in the short term. But when you find those nuggets of then what is working, then you can exploit that pricing in the marketplace, right? YouTube for a while was crushing. Now YouTube might have slowed down. That's okay. We know this because we continue to test. If you only run what works best, you're going to get lost. And where I see a lot of other marketers struggle running Google Ads is they learn one thing. I mean, the algorithm, the system, it changes so fast. All of a sudden, what worked 2 months ago, all of a sudden their cost per lead is spiking, their cost per click is spiking, and they haven't tested anything else. They don't know where things are moving. The goal with marketing is you run 70, 80% what works best, 20 to 25% you're testing at all times. And then as you see things stop working, you scale into what was working on your test. And that's how you stay ahead of the crowd for years on the paid marketing world. Yeah. And that's what I'm doing on social media as well, right? Like I post here's the thing, I didn't know shit about social media 9 months ago. Like I literally was calling the DMs paper airplanes. So, I didn't know anything. The only reason I've grown is we just test, we see what works, and then we test iterations of what works. And then, okay, cool, these little things work. Okay, we have this playbook. All right, this playbook hasn't worked the last couple times, let's test it again. Cool. How do we keep iterating to see what works and get something to go viral, which is just winning on social media?
Which is, again, action, and you need to allocate that time.
Exactly.
Because if you're so overwhelmed and you
gotta be super organized too with marketing of what you're testing.
I've noticed you're very organized.
Yeah, like I'm not necessarily organized by nature. I'm organized because I understand my brain is fairly chaotic. And so if I don't stay organized, I know my results will be a lot harder to track. And people are like, well, I'm testing. I'm like, well, cool, what are you testing? They're like, well, this, and this. I'm like, dude, you're testing 6 different things at once. How can you possibly know what is working? You want to test one control at a time, right? So again, we're going to really dive into this ad stuff. If you have an ad that works, take that ad, duplicate it. You can do this. Let's use a reel. Reels are super easy for everyone to understand. Let's say you have a reel that got 500,000 views. Cool. Take that reel and tweak one thing. Post. Did it get more or less views? Got less views. Cool. Go back to this test.
I've noticed you did that with your best performing
on
the balcony.
I've got millions of views from the same concept of a video, and I just keep iterating and making it better.
You see, that's what I've learned just now. So you guys are listening. I took probably 3 pages of notes. So
finishing this example. So test 1 did not get more views than the original. Cool. Original is still better. Copy original again. Change a different variable. Cool. Let's change the audio. Oh, this got 600K views. Okay, this gets thrown away now. Now you come with this new one, duplicate the one that got 600K. Cool, let's change. Now with that new audio, let's test the same thing we tested of changing the text. Cool, post. Got less views.
How many? Like, so you find one winner, you batted it, and you betted it, and then you mutate it.
Hundreds. Like if we're talking about ad world, hundreds of mutations. If we're talking about on Instagram, this is a nugget for everyone. If you're not using trial reels to test and iterate, trial reels were literally designed for exactly what I just said. Post a trial reel. See if it gets more views.
I need to teach my book people about what you're saying.
Have them watch this right now.
This is
and again,
so
I'm just
important.
learning this. Like, it's not like I'm a social media expert. I've just taken, because I know how to market on Google, and marketing as a general concept, I'm good at, right? And so social media is just marketing, right? And so the reason, like, I've been making posts, okay, let's hit 100,000 followers before the end of the year. Right now, we're not gonna pace that, but the reason I'm able to make bets like that is I'm doing things intentionally and strategically where I can see where things are going, right? We'll be at 100,000 followers latest by February, right? Earliest, maybe we hit it mid-December. The reason I can make those predictions is it's not just me throwing shit at the wall. It's saying, hey, here's a system of how we test and iterate. The testing and iterating is working. It's no different than Google Ads. It's no different than Facebook or YouTube, right? And that's what marketing is just the iteration of your variables.
That's awesome. You're the perfect guest for this podcast because it's all about lead generation and how do you get more business, more attention. So Joe, thank you very much for your time. Where's the best place to find you online?
Follow me on Instagram, Joe Potenza 4, and then follow my marketing page as well. The marketing page, we just post more marketing style content, like specifically niche to marketing and wholesaling. SM3 Marketing on Instagram.
You love your Instagram.
That's all I got right now. We haven't grown any other platforms yet, but hopefully in the future we'll.
And that goes back to your philosophy: focus on one and then add, or.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you try and I started with zero social media background. So the thought of trying to learn YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all that shit at the same time was already daunting because I'm so far removed from social media. This is a bit of a challenge. And so I just wanted to grow on Instagram first. And again, I'm by no means trying to pretend like I'm an expert with Instagram.
You're experimenting a lot.
I literally am just seeing results from experimenting. That's all.
Yeah.
And the same thing applies with Google. Whatever business you're in, if you're running your own paid traffic or you're hiring an agency, you need to be testing the different iterations. And that is the only key to marketing, is just test and then stick with the winners. Like, you don't have to be a rocket scientist. Test. If one does better, cool, keep that and then test off that. That's just marketing. That's how it works. It's so easy.
Focusing on the winners.
Yeah.
Joe, thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you.